Slogans such as Kazi kwa Vijana and Tuelimishe the Girl Child are quite common when it comes to discussing matters affirmative action, which is the bone of contention in today's episode. And the motion of dissection reads, affirmative action programs designed to specifically empower women financially are detrimental to achieving a financially inclusive society. I'll read the motion of dissection again. Affirmative action programs designed to specifically empower women financially are detrimental to achieving a financially inclusive society. Proposing and opposing this motion, we have Bunyore Girls High School and St. Monica Girls High School, Kitale. All the best to both teams that are coming on stage. We can't wait to crown the winners here in the Western region. Team proposition, first speaker, you have 3 minutes.
Throughout history, women have been undermined. Women have been taken as childbearers, joy givers, and housewives. Affirmative action programs have been set up to try and eradicate this, to try and reduce the discrimination against women. But what about the disabled? What about the covered veterans? What about the minorities who are out seeking for jobs? What about men who are forgotten? I, Danielita Sabina, clearly stand here to firmly propose the motion that states affirmative action programs designed to specifically empower women are financially detrimental to achieving a financially inclusive society. I will first start by defining the terms used. Affirmative action from Investopedia refers to a policy aimed at increasing workplace and educational opportunities for everybody who is underrepresented in various areas of the society. For example, the minorities, women, disabled, and covered veterans. Detrimental refers to damaging or harmful. A financially inclusive society refers to a society that overrides the differences of gender, race, sex, generation, and class, and ensures that all people, all businesses have access to and are empowered to use accessible, affordable, responsible financial services that meet their needs and are delivered in a responsible and sustainable way. Adrian, a male, studies law and attains a master's. Hayden, a female, also studies law but finishes with a diploma. They both go and look for jobs at the same institution. Hayden is given the job, not because she is qualified, but because of affirmative action. Tell me, ladies and gentlemen, is this fair? Is this fair to Adrian, who worked hard to achieve a master's, but still couldn't get the job because of affirmative action? Is that the society we're trying to make? A society which bases on gender instead of credential, instead of how people work hard? Is that the society we're trying to achieve? No. Affirmative action leads to reverse discrimination. Discrimination against men, discrimination against the disabled. What about them? Why can't we focus on putting up policies that will not only favor the men, but will also favor the disabled, that will also favor the minorities in the society? Women are not the only people who are allowed to have jobs, are not the only people who are allowed to be lifted up in the society. We have all people who can still do work, yes, but they do not have any policy that will help them, to attain the jobs. Research done by McKinsey and Company found that 45% of men worldwide reported that they feel like they are being overlooked for promotions, for job opportunities, in favor of men who are less qualified. Are we really going to achieve a financially inclusive society where everybody is given a chance to work hard for what they achieve, to have jobs because of what they achieved, by only having affirmative action programs for women?
Ladies and gentlemen, proudly I stand in front of you this day to oppose the motion that states affirmative action program designed to specially empower women financially are detrimental to achieving a financially inclusive society. First, I will start by defining the following words. According to Wikipedia, we have stated that the affirmative action refers to a set of policies and practices within a government or an organization seeking to benefit marginalized groups. What are marginalized groups? These are people that are disadvantaged by the distinction between men and female. Now, another term to be defined is Detrimental. Detrimental simply means harmful or dangerous. An inclusive society is a society that overrides the race, gender, class, generation, and geography and ensures inclusive equality of opportunities. Ladies, it really pains me to see that my proposition say that it is detrimental to empower women. According to Malala, he says that I raise my voice, not to shout, but for those that doesn't have a voice can be heard. We are not successful because half of us are held behind. This is simply because in the recent past, before the equality gender was promoted, men overrated the women. And this was brought up when the Kenyan government decided to raise. I will give you an example. The president of US, John F. Kennedy, in his statement, he said that it is only when women and male are coerced together is when there will be development of nations, that they will be brought up as a very good inclusive society. We are forgetting one word, inclusive. Meaning inclusive is when both genders are valued, none is left outside. When we are saying about affirmative action, we not only say that we favor only women, but we say that all the people with the problem should be favored. Because the women, most of our times, we have been wasting on building up the nation without forgetting the people that we are with, who are the women. I also heard this one thing, that an attitude is a very small thing that when you think. But when it comes to reality, it emerges victorious. Guys, victory is only brought up by a warrior, and losing is brought up by a failure. Women, men, coerced together, bring up a society better that can bring a better solution. As I conclude up, I will give you this example. Michelle Obama, she's one of the strong protagonists about the empowering of women. And ladies and gentlemen, women and female in this room, trust me that when women and male are coerced together, we have a future to look upon. Thank you.
In a dark room with two candles, one owned by Daniela and one owned by Daniel, are lit. Well, I'll come back to that. Affirmative action programs designed to specifically empower women are detrimental to the society, to a financially inclusive society. I tell you, yes, it is. I propose the motion because when you speak about a financially inclusive society, you speak about a society where you're including all the individuals, not only women. And the fact that you are empowering women and forgetting that there are other minorities is a fact that is really detrimental to a society. Take it this way. In Australia, gender equality training programs have been criticized for leading to fatigue and resistance among men and boys sources. This is from Wikipedia. Take another hint. You said that we're benefiting marginalized groups. Why are we forgetting the handicapped? Why are we forgetting the youth? Why are we only focusing on women? Why are we only focusing on women? These women, when we empower them, you take for example a woman who is physically disabled. She's also a youth. She's going to get more chances of empowerment compared to a man who is physically disabled and also a youth. Why are we only empowering the women? We speak about a financially inclusive society, a society where all have equal chances, all have equal opportunities, but yet in South Africa, a program aimed at promoting women's economic growth led to a 10%, and I quote that, a 10% decline in men's entrepreneurship rates, according to Wikipedia. What are we doing while empowering women and forgetting the rest? I pose a question. You said that you are striving to have equal treatment among the men and the women. But I have a question to ask. While empowering a woman, how are you empowering a man? By leaving him without a chance, by leaving him without an opportunity, just to take a woman because of the fact that she's wearing a skirt or a dress. Gender-based initiatives are excluding other genders. Take it that I have a chance to win, but just because I'm a man, I can't get that chance. Just because I'm a man, I can't get that opportunity, but the opportunity is given to a woman. Food for thought.
Comrades, there is no true social revolution without the liberation of women. These are words of Thomas Sankara, providing and proposing action that empowering women financially through affirmative action has several positive effects in an inclusive society. The second proposer from the first team came and posed a question to us that how men have been empowered in the inclusive society. Remember, the inclusive society favors both the marginalized, the gender-based, the discriminants, and all those people are under the inclusive society. It caters for all, not only for women, but for every other gender that is in the society. That's why we quoted inclusive society and not any other term. I'm coming up with an example of the AFAWA, the Africa Financial Action on Women. This action was funded so that it can enterprise women, not only women, but also all the other genders in the society, not to racially discriminate or to racially base on one gender or the women, but also the society at large. What is affirmative action? I'm taking it back to you because you're strongly basing it on men and not women. Remember, what men can do, women can do better. If men can raise an economy up to a higher percent, remember, men can do it better. Women can do it better, sorry. That's why we have an inclusive society where women come up with men so that they can raise this society into a financial developed country. Remember, these policies and measures are designed to increase the representation and participation of historically marginalized groups in areas such as education, employment, and business. They don't address the present, they do not focus on the past issues, but rather present the present issues. I'm also to give some of the enterprise affirmative actions that favor women financially, and it has been a detrimental issue to both, and it has not bring detrimental issue to the government. That is the Women Enterprise Fund. The Women Enterprise Fund is a government initiative that promotes accessible and affordable credit to women to start and expand business. Remember, the women are starting and expanding business just because the men were dominating in the society. We are giving women powers not only to rule over the men dominance, but also to raise our country's bar in economy and business at large. Remember, if we get 1.5 million benefit from this fund, we are benefiting the country at large, including the marginalized, the minorities, and any other disabled group in the community. Thank you. I rest my case.
Thank you for the opportunity. Firstly, I must confess, the anxiety is real. Damn, it's real. Truly. So, it's a silent story that has been heard by everyone. A call of freedom, yet conflict feels it. Well, creation of affirmative action programs to specifically empower women, does it truly help us to get our sole desire of having an inclusive society? Does it? Well, I tell you this, it doesn't. Surely it doesn't. You have said so much, I agree, and I confess. What they have said is true. But will you truly accept to be thrown into a rose bush? Remember, on the top you'll find red, white, all sorts of colors of beautiful, beautiful flowers. But they have thorns, don't they? If you take an affirmative action program and give the opportunity to a male, they will use it as well, and as good enough as a female would have used it. We are so used to it in saying that anything that a man can do, a female can do better. And to some degree it might be true, being a female that is, but we need to find a way of putting both the people into the picture. Taking an example from Guzajadi, Mangwasha has looked at the nation and seen that men are suffering. The boys don't have leadership. They don't have examples to lead them into finding the most specific ways that they can guide themselves. And they find themselves lost in the street without anything to depend on. I tell you this for sure. These programs that specifically empower women are leaving out other minorities. The disabled. Well, if you both go to a workplace and see all of the examples of people that are there, you'll find a female that is both disabled and, well, she's a female, she's beautiful. Let's just assume she's dressed so nicely, just can't resist her appearance. Huh? You can find yourself associated with that. You find someone beautiful and she's also disabled. You look at her and you're so impressed. You're like, damn, I like this person so much. That way, she'll be having two advantages. She's both able differently, and she's a youth, and she's also a female. You'll give her all of the strength and avoid choosing that man who is also able differently and is in the crowd, giving her more advantage. Well, in South Africa, it is recorded that the creation of these affirmative programs has immediately led to a 10% decrease in male employment. If you empower a lady and forget about the boy, will that be setting a good example for them? No, it won't. It will show them that there is no such thing as equality in this society. It will show them that it just pains to try to work harder. It will show them that there is no point in trying and lead to other vices in the society. If you can't find any opportunity in learning, you have an A, but you're not going to a high school, you're not going to a good school out country the way you wanted, you'll resort to stealing. And that will somehow make more vices in the society. Well, I tell you for sure, creation of these affirmative action programs that specifically empower women are detrimental to the society. Try and look at it from my perspective. Thank you for your time.
I do not wish women to overpower men, but to stand for themselves. According to United Nations, the Summit for Social Development in Copenhagen in 1995 defined inclusive society as a society for all. That's why we are basing on the word inclusive society, because it's a society for all. And we are basing on the word detrimental. Detrimental means harmful or dangerous. How can affirmative actions be harmful to inclusive society? On to my first point. It closes the gap between men and women. Initially, the gap between men and women was like men were up here and women are down here. When this affirmative action is working in our country or elsewhere in the world, the women are brought up and match with men so as to build our nation. We have examples of affirmative action programs. One was launched in 2015 in Dakar during First Feed African Conference. This majorly was meant to empower women. And behind every successful man, there is a woman. Why do I say so? A woman stands for her house. Without a woman in a house, you can find a mess, total mess in a house. Those people who are living with the fathers alone in the house, you can testify this. Without a mother or a woman in that house, you can't move. Malala Yousafzai said, a voice can be heard. We cannot all succeed when women are left behind. We need these women, and it is believed women have the highest IQ more than men. And affirmative action, in Rwanda, gender quotas have empowered women in holding 61% of seats in parliament, in their parliament. And these have led Rwanda
to be more economically developed. According to African Nation, it states that women in Rwanda are holding 61% of seats in parliament in Rwanda. And this is why Rwanda is growing. I was there last year. As you can look at Rwanda, it's really growing and it's really developing economically. We also have, according to Investopedia.com, financial inclusion strives to remove the barriers that include that exclude people in the society from participating in their financial sector and using the services to improve their lives. When I'm concluding, I have to leave you with this. Michelle Obama, one of the strongest protagonists, his husband, Obama, found a home in a better office, who is the first African American president. With that, I rest my case.
I come to you again with a different example. If we take an apple and put it on the table, I cut it in half, but you take the whole. Does it make any sense? It doesn't make any sense. So look at it from my perspective. If we create these affirmative programs for women, and we decide to neglect the male side, and one thing you just said about Obama and Michelle. Obama, as the first president, was also helped by these affirmative programs. It was not only Michelle who was helped. And to take it into a note, it is Obama who formed the House, and that you have said yourself. So, in a way, the affirmative action programs do help in attaining an inclusive society, but only when both the male and the females are involved into making it. You cannot have an inclusive society without having everyone playing a role. And that's why I give you a new word, tokenism. Tokenism is when someone is taken as a symbol and is declared more because of their value and how they appear. This is what has been happening to men for a very long time. Women have been taken into a higher ground because they are beautiful and because of other reasons as well. So even by a study by McKinsey Company found that 45% of women reported feeling like they were being overlooked for proportions in favor of women who have been less qualified. So look at it from my perspective. Men should not be excluded from the society. They are also just as good as women. Thank you.
My people, I'm back. And this time, I'm really surprised. My proposer member stately said, I hope you heard, that Obama, a male president, was helped by the affirmative action. Is he a female? No, she's not. He's not. Now, let me give you this example. An inclusive society, one thing my group doesn't understand is something that is an equality of opportunities between a male and a female. They haven't clearly stated that it's only to empower another gender to base on the other. According to GPT, it states that an inclusive society is aimed at raising the women and the female to be at the level of understanding. Now, I will give you this example. When my mom and my dad were getting married, I saw they were having a ring. And the ring, it was placed on my mother's hand, and she placed it on my father's hand. And perfectly it was. When the women and the male are joined together, we have a very great nation. Thank you.
Thank you to both teams. That was a good debate. We could see that there was a lot of research from both teams. And I'll go straight into the individual performances. So to Bunyore girls, Danielita, Sabina, you came in with quite a powerful start, which was very nice. We were able to now follow your conversation. You gave us your definitions and brought in an overriding argument that your team stuck with. And that was the issue to do with fairness. Is it fair? So that was good. You brought in the whole angle of discrimination and so on and so forth. So I like the fact that your mastery of topic was very good and the language was also good. As you are leaving, you left us with a rhetoric question, which is also a good style in terms of your debate. To Joyce Masiga, you came in, also continued with that narrative of fairness. I was hoping to get in more points from you guys, apart from the component of fairness alone. But anyway, you continued with the narrative. And you talked about it not bringing a financially inclusive society at the end of it all. Shanice Pacha, you came in with some good energy and brought in a whole concept of uplifting other minorities and how this will now affect us getting a financially inclusive society. Otherwise, all the best to both teams.